The edge of the map. The starship drifted into the unknown, its engines humming low, its lights cutting through a sea of black. At first, the crew thought they were lost. The navigation screen blinked red warnings. No records beyond this point. Every galactic map ended here. Every alien chart drew a sharp line, as if the universe itself refused to continue. But the humans did. Captain Reed leaned forward in his chair, eyes fixed on the empty void ahead. No stars, no signals, no return data. The silence was crushing, heavy, like an unseen hand pressing against the ship's hull. Yet the humans pressed on, ignoring the boundaries that had terrified the galaxy for millennia. Other species had spoken about this place in whispers, the silent fringe. Traders told stories of ships vanishing. War fleets never returned. Even the mighty empires drew borders and swore never to cross them. It was a place where no power claimed ownership, a place where even courage felt small. But humans had another word for it: frontier. Status? Reed asked, his voice steady but carrying the weight of risk. The navigator shook her head. No landmarks, no comms. We're outside the known galaxy. For a moment, the bridge fell quiet. The thought alone was enough to break most alien captains. Beyond the map, there were no patrols, no allies, no rules. If something came out of the dark, there would be no one to help. Yet the human crew didn't turn back. The youngest officer, a technician named Mark, stared at the void with wide eyes. "Sir, why does every other race stop here? What's out there that they fear so much?" Reed didn't answer immediately. Instead, he looked at the glowing line on the navigation chart, the edge of recorded space. Every empire had marked it, but none had crossed. His jaw tightened. That's what we're here to find out. Minutes turned into hours. The silence of the void had pressed harder. It was not just emptiness. It was a silence that seemed alive. Every sensor ping came back with nothing, as if the universe swallowed the signals whole. Then, without warning, the ship's sensors blinked. A faint signal appeared, weak, almost invisible, but there. The crew froze. "It's old," the sensor officer whispered. "Centuries old. A distress beacon." The sound filled the bridge, a broken, repeating cry for help in an unknown tongue. The galaxy had always said nothing survived here. Yet the beacon pulsed on, steady, stubborn, refusing to die. "Source?" Reed demanded. The officer hesitated. "Coordinates locked. But Captain, it's deep. Farther in than any ship should have gone." Reed stood. His eyes burned with a strange light, the kind humans carried when stepping into danger that others feared. "Plot a course. We follow it." The crew shifted uneasily. Every instinct screamed to turn back. Every alien legend said doom awaited. But humans had always been different. Where fear built walls, humans built roads. As the ship turned into the beacon's path, the void seemed to grow thicker, as if shadows themselves leaned closer. The crew's breath grew heavy. Some swore they saw shapes in the dark, vast and shifting, like colossal beings drifting just beyond sight. But nothing appeared on the scanners. Mark gripped his console, whispering, "Sir, are we sure about this? The galaxy left this place alone for a reason." Reed looked at him, calm but unyielding. "Every empire feared what they didn't understand. That's not how humanity survives. If there's truth out here, we'll face it, even if it terrifies the rest of the galaxy." The ship pressed on. The beacon grew stronger, louder, until it filled the bridge with haunting clarity. The unknown tongue shifted, distorted, then, shockingly, translated. "They are coming. They cannot be stopped. If you hear this, run." The crew stiffened. "What does it mean?" someone asked. The message repeated, louder, clearer, the same words over and over, warning across the ages. Reed didn't flinch. He stared into the abyss as if daring it to reveal itself. "We don't run," he said softly. And then the stars changed. From the void ahead, a pattern appeared. Lights that were not stars, but vast structures, hidden beyond the edge of every galactic chart. shapes so massive they dwarfed fleets. Silent, waiting, ancient. The crew gasped. "Captain," the navigator whispered, voice trembling. "What? What are those?" Reed's eyes narrowed. The reason the galaxy drew their maps short. The truth was here, in the blackness where every empire dared not look. Humanity had found it, and the galaxy's greatest fear was about to awaken. The beacon pulsed one last time, and the message shifted. If humans hear this, it is already too late. The bridge fell silent. Outside the viewport, the ancient lights stirred one by one, as if something vast and alive had just noticed them. Reed stood tall, unafraid, his voice cutting through the terror. "Then let's show them who we are." The human ship pressed deeper into the forbidden dark, carrying with it the fire that no galactic map could contain. The silent watchers. The bridge felt colder than before. No one spoke. Outside, the blackness was no longer empty. It was alive. Vast shapes floated in the dark, not drifting like rocks, but waiting. Their lights glowed in careful lines, forming patterns across titanic hulls. They were not stars. They were machines, silent and ancient, their surfaces scarred by time, yet untouched by decay. For centuries, every alien empire had drawn their maps short of this place. Now the humans understood why. The youngest officer whispered, Those aren't stations. They're ships." The silence that followed was suffocating. And dozens, no, hundreds of warships, larger than any dreadnought in recorded history, slept in the abyss. Each one looked like a world carved into metal, built to eclipse suns, and they were waking up. The distress beacon continued its eerie call. If humans hear this, it is already too late. Captain Reed stood tall, gripping the railing in front of him. His voice was low, steady. "Scan them." The crew obeyed, though their hands trembled over the controls. Data filled the screens, power signatures flickered to life. Engines hummed after untold ages of silence. Weapons arrays glowed faintly like rows of red eyes opening at once. "They're not dead," the sensor officer said in a shaky breath. "They've been waiting for something or someone." The navigator turned pale. "Captain, these readings, their technology is older than every empire combined, but it's not broken. It's perfect." The thought clawed at everyone's mind. Why had these ships never left the void? Why remain silent for millennia? And why did the beacon specifically warn of humans? The ship trembled as a low vibration rolled across the void. It wasn't weapons fire, it was communication. A single tone reverberated through space, low and heavy, vibrating inside their bones. The crew clutched their ears, groaning as the sound pressed against them. Systems flickered, lights dimmed, screens went black, then lit up with strange symbols, marks no language bank could translate. Then a voice, mechanical, yet filled with something deeper, rang through the speakers. Designations confirmed. Origin, human. Sequence complete. The crew froze. "They know us," Mark whispered, his face pale. Captain Reed didn't move. His jaw was tight, but his eyes burned with a strange fire. "Open a channel." The comm officer hesitated. "Sir, if they can already see us—" "Do it!" The static cleared. Reed spoke into the silence. "This is Captain Reed of the human starship Ardent. We come seeking knowledge beyond the galactic frontier. Identify yourselves." The response came at once. No hesitation, no distortion. "We are the Watchers, sentinels of the edge, guardians of the line no empire crossed. We waited for the key. We waited for humanity." The bridge fell still. Every officer exchanged frightened looks. "The key?" the navigator whispered. "What do you mean?" Reed demanded. His voice didn't waver, though the air grew heavier with each word. The Watchers answered with silence. Then slowly, the colossal ships shifted, their hulls gliding with impossible grace. They encircled the Ardent in perfect formation, their silent bulk blotting out the stars. Your kind were hidden, shielded, buried in a system forgotten by the mapmakers. The galaxy feared what you would become. The crew shivered. The Watchers spoke again. Now you stand beyond the map. The seal is broken. The truth begins. Mark slammed his hand on the console, fear breaking through his voice. Captain, this is insane. They're talking like they've been waiting for us specifically. Why humans? Why not any of the great empires? Reed's gaze never left the looming titans outside. His instincts whispered what his crew already knew. The galaxy had feared humans, not because of what they were, but because of what they might unlock. The Watchers spoke once more, this time in a tone that carried weight like stone grinding against stone. When humanity arrives, the chains will break. The empires will fall. The old war will begin again. The words struck the crew like a hammer. The galaxy had been living in fear of this moment for thousands of years. Captain, the sensor officer whispered, his voice shaking. We need to leave. Now. But Reed stood firm, his voice calm and steady, though his heart pounded. No. We've come this far. We won't run. The Watchers' lights flared. Massive weapons rotated, not firing, but waiting, testing, watching. And then, with terrifying precision, they moved aside, opening a path into deeper darkness. Proceed. Beyond this point, there is no return. Humanity begins where the galaxy ends. The crew trembled at the words. Fear clawed at their throats, but Reed's eyes gleamed with resolve. Set a course, he said. The navigator hesitated. Sir, if we go forward, there's no map, no allies, nothing but whatever these things are leading us to. Reed's voice hardened. Exactly. That's where we belong. The ship's engines roared to life. The Ardent pushed forward, leaving the safety of the known galaxy behind. The Watchers followed silently, like titans escorting something sacred. The beacon's final words still echoed in the crew's minds. Run. But humanity didn't run. Humanity pressed forward. And as they entered the void where no empire dared to step, something stirred in the darkness ahead, something even the Watchers seemed to fear. The forbidden path. The ship moved deeper into the abyss, its hull cutting through the black like a lone spark. Behind them the galaxy was gone. No stars, no light, only silence. Ahead the Watchers guided them in grim silence, their massive shapes drifting like shadows of ancient gods. Every crew member felt it, the weight of being the only humans in a place no map dared to mark. Fear was thick in the air, but so was something else. Curiosity. The navigator whispered, Captain, the Watchers are not leading us randomly. Their course is exact, perfectly straight, like they're guiding us to something. Reed leaned forward, his eyes hard. Then let's find out what's worth hiding for 10,000 years. For hours, nothing changed. The void swallowed sound and thought, until even the hum of the ship felt like a scream against the silence. The crew's nerves frayed. Some muttered prayers. Others simply stared at their consoles, as if afraid to blink. Then the darkness ahead flickered. At first it was faint, like sparks in the distance. But the closer they came, the stronger it grew. Soon the crew realized it wasn't a star, it was a structure. A ring. Massive beyond imagination, the ring floated in the void, its surface glowing with faint lines of energy. It was not built by any species the crew knew. Its size dwarfed planets, and it was awake. The Watchers stopped, holding position as if bowing before the ring. The ship's scanners screamed with warnings. Power readings. Impossible, the officer said, his voice trembling. This thing, it could power an entire galaxy, and it's been here, hidden, all this time. Mark gripped the console, his eyes wide. What is it, Captain? Reed stared at the endless ring, his breath steady. It's not just a weapon, it's a key. As if answering his words, the ring pulsed. A deep, resonant hum shook the void, and a symbol appeared across its surface, lines of light forming a pattern, not alien, not random. Human. The bridge froze. The symbol was simple, unmistakable, a handprint. Every crew member turned slowly toward Reed, their faces pale. "Why? Why would this thing know us?" the navigator whispered. The watchers spoke, their voices filling the ship with metallic thunder. "The builders left the key for you. Humanity was chosen. The others feared it, so they hid you, caged you, silenced your rise. But no cage lasts forever. The key awakens at your touch." Mark's voice cracked. "Sir, this means something new humans would come here, long before we even reached the stars." Fear spread across the crew. Had humanity's place in the galaxy been planned? Were they pawns in some ancient game? The ring pulsed again. The handprint glowed brighter. The crew panicked. "Captain, if you take us closer, it could kill us," one officer shouted. Another added, "Sir, the galaxy might have been right to fear this. If we touch that thing, it could start a war none of us can stop." But Reed didn't flinch. He stood, his voice calm yet heavy with conviction. "Humanity never abdicated it, scared for permission to exist. We won't start now." He gave the order, "Approach the ring." The ship crept forward, the ring looming larger with every passing second. The glow intensified until it filled the viewport with blinding light. Then the ardent systems went dark. Engines dead, weapons dead, lights flickered out. The crew gasped as their consoles powered down one by one. The only thing alive in the void was the symbol on the ring, glowing like fire. And then, a voice. Not mechanical, not alien, human. "Welcome. You have come at last." The crew froze. The voice was deep, warm, filled with something both terrifying and comforting. "Identify yourself," Reed demanded, his voice sharp. The voice answered calmly, "I am the echo of the builders. We left this message for one species alone. Humanity. You are the final piece. The galaxy was not meant to hold you. It was meant to fear you." The crew shivered as the words sank in. Mark whispered, "Sir, this isn't discovery. This is destiny." The ring pulsed again, and in that instant the crew saw visions. Flashes of wars older than stars, titans clashing across galaxies, and humanity's face among them. Not the humanity of now, but of something greater, something vast, as if the species had been part of this ancient war before time erased the memory. The vision ended as quickly as it began. The bridge was silent, the crew trembling. Reed's voice was steady. "What do you want from us?" The echo's reply was simple, "To begin again." The handprint glowed brighter, waiting for someone to step forward, waiting for a human touch. The crew stared at their captain, their fear raw and sharp. "Sir, if you touch it, there may be no going back. Whatever this is, it will change everything." Reed's eyes never left the light. He took a slow breath. "That's what humanity does. We change everything." And with that, he moved toward the control panel, ready to do what no other being in the galaxy had dared. The future waited at the edge of the map, the handprint. The bridge was silent, every breath heavy, every heartbeat loud. The glowing handprint on the ring pulsed brighter with each second, as if calling to them, as if waiting. The watchers drifted outside, silent giants, watching with something close to reverence or fear. Captain Reed stood at the front of the bridge, his shadow cast against the light. He didn't move quickly. His steps were slow, deliberate, like a man walking into history. "Sir," the navigator said, voice trembling, "if you touch it, we can't predict what will happen. The ship, the crew, maybe the whole galaxy." Reed stopped and looked at her. His expression was calm, but his eyes burned with the fire that had carried humanity this far. "If we don't touch it, we'll never know why the galaxy feared us. If we run, we'll be nothing but another scared empire drawing borders on maps. But if we face it," his gaze shifted back to the light, "we'll find out what we really are." No one spoke. The crew had no words, no courage left. They could only watch as their captain stepped forward and placed his hand on the glowing print. The moment his skin touched the surface, the void roared to life. Light exploded across the ring, shooting into the abyss like rivers of fire. The Watchers' massive forms trembled as energy surged through them, their engines glowing brighter than suns. The Ardent shook violently, alarms blaring, lights flickering on and off as if the ship itself was being rewritten. The crew cried out, gripping their stations. "Captain, systems are overloading." But Reed did not move. His hand was locked to the light, his body rigid, eyes wide as visions poured into his mind. He saw a galaxy, not as it was now, but as it once had been, filled with empires older than memory, locked in a war so vast it burned across 1,000 galaxies. And at the center of it all, humans, not lost, not warriors, but leading. Humanity had been warriors, builders, explorers of impossible scale. They had been part of the builders themselves. The vision showed their fall, a betrayal, a silence forced upon them, their homeworld hidden, their history erased, their destiny sealed away until the right moment. That moment was now. The ring pulsed, and the echo's voice filled the ship again. The seal is broken. Humanity awakens. The chains of fear shatter. Outside, the Watchers raised their weapons, not at the Ardent, but at the galaxy behind them. Their titanic guns glowed, aimed outward, as if preparing for war. The crew panicked. "Captain, they're turning their weapons toward the galaxy." Reed tore his hand away from the light. The vision stopped, the glow dimmed, and the ship's system stabilized. But the damage was done, the truth was clear. Mark's voice shook as he whispered, "Sir, the galaxy was right to fear this. Humanity wasn't just another species. We were something more, something dangerous." Reed turned slowly, his face pale but his eyes unshaken. "Not dangerous. Necessary." The echo spoke once more, calm but thunderous. "The builders are gone. Their enemies sleep, waiting to rise again. Only humanity can face them. Only humanity can begin where the galaxy ends." The crew shivered. They didn't know what these enemies were, or when they would rise, but the Watchers' weapons were ready, as if they had always known the war would return. The navigator shook her head. "Sir, if this is true, then everything changes. Every empire, every council, every race, they'll see us as the reason their fear was real. They'll unite against us." Reed looked at her. "Or they'll unite behind us." Silence filled the bridge. His words were bold, reckless, impossible. Yet there was a weight in them, a truth none could deny. Humanity had found the reason every map stopped. They were not meant to stay within those borders. They were meant to break them. Then the sensor screamed. A massive energy surge erupted far ahead, deeper in the void. The crew scrambled to their consoles, eyes wide with terror. "Sir, something's waking up!" The ring trembled. The Watchers shifted uneasily for the first time. And in the endless black ahead, a shape began to emerge, so vast it made the Watchers look small. The echo's voice lowered to a whisper. "It has begun." The crew stared into the abyss, hearts frozen, as the outline of an ancient enemy slowly revealed itself. The awakening. The void trembled as the shape ahead grew clearer. At first it seemed like a shadow, a blur without form. Then it unfolded, vast wings of metal, blacker than space itself, spreading wider than planets. The Watchers, so massive before, were nothing but sparks compared to it. The crew stared in frozen silence. No one could breathe. No one could speak. Mark whispered, "What? What is that?" The echo answered, its voice now sharp, urgent. "The forgotten. The enemy we buried beyond the map. They were never destroyed, only chained. And now, they stir." The colossal being shifted, its surface rippling with lights like 1,000 eyes opening all at once. A sound followed, a low, alien roar that shook the hull of the Ardent, rattling bones and hearts alike. The Watchers moved instantly. Their weapons lit up, firing beams of pure light into the black. The blasts tore through the void, striking the awakening creature, but the energy dissolved against its hide like sparks against stone. The crew panicked. Consoles blinked red. "Captain, those things can't stop it." The Forgotten roared again, and one of the Watchers was torn apart, ripped in half by an invisible force. A silent death, quick and brutal. The crew cried out in horror as the wreckage drifted past their viewport. The Echo spoke again. "This is why humanity was hidden. The galaxy could not face the truth, but you were meant to." Reed gripped the railing, his knuckles white. Fear clawed at him, but something stronger burned in his chest. "If we're meant to face it, then we need to fight." "But how?" the navigator cried. "We don't have weapons like them. We're just one ship." Reed's voice cut through the panic. "We have something they don't." The crew looked at him, desperate for hope. "Will," Reed said firmly. "Every empire that drew their maps stopped here. They saw the dark and turned away. But humans, we walk into it. That's why we're the key." The crew swallowed their fear. His words lit a spark inside them, faint but steady. Suddenly, the ardent systems flared with energy. Lights surged, consoles rebooted, engines roared louder than ever before. The crew gasped. "The ship, sir, it's different." The Echo's voice filled the bridge. "The ring has awakened you. Humanity carries the fire of the Builders. Use it." The Ardent's weapons lit up, strange, new, unlike anything they had before. Cannons of pure energy formed along its hull, glowing with the same symbols that burned across the ring. Reed pointed at the colossal shadow ahead. "Target it." The crew hesitated only a moment before locking on. The new cannons charged, light building like the heartbeat of a star. The crew's fear turned into awe. "Fire!" The Ardent unleashed its fury. A beam of light erupted from its cannons, so bright it cut through the void like a blade. It struck the Forgotten directly, tearing across its endless body. For the first time, the monster roared in pain. The Watchers responded, firing in unison. Together, their weapons and the human beam carved deep scars into the shadow. But the Forgotten did not fall. It lashed out, tearing through more Watchers, shattering them like glass. Still, the Ardent fired again, relentless. The crew shouted over the chaos. "Captain, it's too strong! We can—" "Kill it!" Reed's eyes burned with defiance. "We don't have to kill it. We just have to show it humanity won't run." The Forgotten lunged, its endless mass surging toward them. The crew braced for death, but Reed stood tall, calm in the storm. "Hold the line," he ordered. The Ardent fired one last beam, brighter than anything before. The Watchers joined in, their combined fury slamming into the creature. The void itself seemed to rip apart under the light. The Forgotten reeled, its body shaking, its roar fading into silence. Then, slowly, it withdrew, slipping back into the abyss, wounded but not destroyed. The void grew quiet again, save for the wreckage of the fallen Watchers drifting like broken moons. The crew sat in stunned silence. They were alive. Against all odds, they had stood where the galaxy had never dared. The Echo's voice returned, softer now. "This is only the beginning. The Forgotten will rise again. The empires will learn what has been hidden. They will fear you, but fear is not the end. It is the start." Reed lowered himself into his chair, his face hard but his voice steady. "Then let them fear us. Humanity begins where their maps end." The crew looked at him, and for the first time, they did not see only their captain. They saw the truth, the galaxy's nightmare, and its only hope. Beyond the galactic map, humanity had found its place, not as prey, not as outsiders, but as the fire the galaxy could never contain.